We're going to start this space for exchange regarding service learning SDG Planet. This will be a space where we will try to talk about what we've been talking about for many years. And this year, the purpose is to get in touch or connect with SDGs. We've been working with this since yesterday, early morning too. There was an invitation for you to make your contributions through this QR code on these working pillars. And here today, what we are going to do, we are going to have some presentations from people who have been working in SDGs regarding the planet perspective, and then we will have a space for dialogue and work among ourselves, and then we'll have a session where we will all share our experiences. And since this will be a space for dialogue, we invite everybody to come closer. We will try to imitate the space of the classrooms. Let's imagine we are in a classroom, so we invite you to come forward, especially for the second part, in order to work in groups. These are the SDGs, and through them we aim to seek commitment by all parties, at the governmental and intergovernmental levels, but also from the academia, the political sectors, so as to address these problems we have. In this space, to conclude, after 1 day and a half of hard work, we will try to work on this. So apart from this session, there's another related to peace and alliances, another related to productive development, there's another one related to education. So we are going to work today on planet. Each one of these objectives has a name, but under that name there are several working segments, let's say access to water, for example, water contamination, drinking water, reserves, then there's terrestrial ecosystems, their conservation, underground life, action for climate, and then there's this topic related to production and responsible consumption. So we have to work and think about how we consume, and which is not very responsible. So we will share experiences, first of all, from different parts of the world. Then we will have time for individual work. Then group work. We will try to form groups of 10 or 15 people. And then we'll have a closing section. Now I will give the floor to Paula. Paula Massoni, she's a professor in education. She has a degree in CV and school practices. She's a director of school number 4, Simón Bolivar. She's a professor of the social community projects. She's a pedagogical advisor and coordinator. She trains teachers, and she's a general coordinator of service learning project called Education in Movement. She is a professor in the University of Institutional Analysis and Methodologies of Scientific Institutions. Welcome, Paula. Good afternoon. I would like to thank CLAYSS for inviting us to share with you the experience in our school. This school is called Libertador Simón Bolivar. It is located in Mendoza province. This area is for 40 kilometers from the city of Mendoza. The school is a regular school. There's a natural science orientation, there's an economic orientation, and there's an orientation in education. In this school, there are 2 shifts. We have 995 students and approximately 200 professors or teachers. This is for you to get an idea of the context. Education in Movement, that's the name of the project, which started in 2012 when we received an award. And anyway, this project was not born in 2012. There's a history since when the school was created in 1983. There were several solidarity experiences right from the beginning, and all these experiences became like the basis for this project. There are 450 students and 85 teachers participating from the project. The students who participate from this project originally are in 5th year, but were in 5th year, but since last year, the 4th year students joined. So there are 6 divisions. This means 6 groups of people. We have 6 groups in 4th year and 6 groups in 5th year. This is for you to have an idea of the size of the project. The students perform different activities to improve the economic, environmental aspects and educational aspects of the community. They address different problems, and they do this together with the beneficiaries that are co-protagonists. The project is addressed by these different orientations, economics and education and natural sciences. They use an interdisciplinary approach and they work together with different community entities. Last year we started working with the 2030 agenda because one of the projects that you will see, the students and teachers were invited to a science fair regarding development of scientific thinking. And at that science fair, the scientists who were the jury recommended my students to work with the 2030 agenda and with its goal, SDG, with the SDG goals. So based on this, the students started working with the teachers, and this was last year. We started working in an interdisciplinary manner. So last year and this year, teachers started building connections between the problems identified together with the community, and they started connecting the knowledge of each of these orientations together with the 2030 agenda and its goals. What we did is we designed the curricula or the curricular project based on the SDGs. This is the problem that was identified in 2012. It has changed since then. But the problem is a social, economic, environmental, and educational vulnerability of kindergarten, sonrisas, and school number 0110. There's a description of the problem there, but this kindergarten is located facing an open waste dump, and that is the problem. Not only it is an environmental problem, and it is also an economic and social problem. So the 2030 agenda approved by the UN provided a holistic framework, a comprehensive framework, so as to address the different knowledges. This is a territorial mapping. We have included some of the organizations with which we work. Some companies. There are 2 companies working with us. There is our school, Arroyo Claro Wetland, which is 15 kilometers from the school and from the kindergarten. Of course, the kindergarten is part of this territorial mapping. The teacher training school is part of it. And we have received training from them on the 2030 agenda. Of course, we had to create different alliances with different educational institutions and NGOs in order to connect the problems to each one of the agenda's objectives. Also, the Chamber of Commerce, municipality, the National Institute on Agricultural Technology, the National University of Cuyo, some elementary schools also, 3 elementary schools, a club called Martín Pescador, which is next to the wetland. So these are the parts. We are a learning community. That's how we call ourselves. Because development is built with the community, and each one of these organizations provide their view, expresses its needs, and we all learn together. So it's a reciprocal learning, and the interaction of our students with these organizations is essential. Of course, they are supported by the teachers. These are the purposes. Each one of the orientations has different purposes. These include promoting healthy lifestyles, implementing educational campaigns, encouraging the community to move towards sustainable development, training on the use of solar energy, designing a device to use solar energy, construction and installation of solar heaters, promoting the creation of micro entrepreneurships, promoting self-sustain of the families, fair trade, and self-employment.
Pasemos. Voy a volver a esta Argentina después. Ahora voy a cambiar la presentación en este mismo momento.
I will change the presentation right now. I want to see the pictures. Here, these are the pictures. Why I want to show them to you. This is the work that we are doing with the wetland. This wetland has some guardians. These guardians get together. They talked to our students and they mentioned their need to take care of the wetlands. So we have become a guardian school of this wetland. We've been working with the wetland for 3 years. We had some cleaning campaigns because opposite there is a waste dump, so we have conducted educational campaigns, cleaning campaigns, and in the pictures you can see my students there. They are placing the signs that mark the trails for hiking in the wetland. This is also related to the tourism and recreation of our municipality. We worked also with the club that is next to the wetland, and these signs were designed by the students and students had to study the different species in the wetland. The autochthonous species, some are endangered species, and they also implemented campaigns for the people who visited the wetland. Apart from enjoying the tour, they could also learn. So we created these trails, and this was also done together with the National University of Cuyo and with the teacher training school. This was how the students standing next to the solar heaters presented this project in the science fair, and the jury suggested working with the 2030 agenda. Like I said, the need to work with affordable energy had already been identified. This is one of the objectives of the 2030 agenda. So we had identified this problem before. The agenda provided a theoretical framework for us to work, and there we can see the installation of the heaters. We trained the families, we helped the families to install these heaters, these water heaters, in their homes, and I wanted to share the testimony of one of the families who received one of these heaters. We needed this for quite some time. I was able to wash the dishes with hot water. For the first time, I was able to use hot water for the dishes and for my children to have a shower. This is the testimony of Thelma. She authorized me to mention it because we thought that this testimony was really meaningful. This family was of the beneficiaries of this project, and they were really grateful. Here we can see how we worked together with the neighbors, the images of the construction and training. And finally, here you can see the circular fair. The purpose of the agenda is responsible consumption, responsible production and consumption. Different local entrepreneurs have sustainable projects, and they attended the fair, and they also were trained, and together a network was formed with them, and all together we agreed to organize this fair once a month. These are some of the results. The project has had a positive impact. You can, I'm not sure if you can see the bar graph very well. The number of graduates moved from 65% to 84% in 2022-2023. So why has this project impacted on the number of graduates? Well, this is because the students in their fourth and fifth year work with this project. And the service learning activities are very motivating for them. Therefore, this has a very positive impact, and they finish school. This is a clear indicator on how the project is working, and at the same time, coexistence in school has improved. Children, besides being motivated, they're concentrated on the work they are doing and on this solidarity work. All the students work on different agenda objectives. First and second year work on water citizenship related to water and water cleaning, and each orientation, each one of them works with a different objective of the agenda. That's the pedagogical organization we have for this year, which started last year. As you can see there, we have the pedagogical proposal, the natural sciences, we have this orientation. In third year, they work on health and well-being. In fourth year, in affordable energy, sustainable cities and communities. And in fifth year, they work on action for climate, health, and well-being. So each one of the orientations works with different agenda objectives.
Thank you so much, Paula. Now we will hear from Lucía Durand and Jimena Hernandez. She works in primary education. She has worked formally and informally in different institutions. She works at Providencia Education Center in Montevideo City, Uruguay. She has been working in 5th and 6th grades in primary school, and she is the coordinator of the Children's Club. She also accompanies the learning processes of all of the children together with all of the educators. These years, she has been motivated with innovation practices in education. She has worked and developed several projects that had to do with service learning. Service learning for her has special meaning for helping out the community where she belongs. Viviana Candes, the other woman, she is from primary education as well. She works at Los Conquillos and at Providencia, Montevideo, Uruguay Children's Club. She has been promoting in her education center the looking for new practices that motivate the work of children in their learning process. Specifically in 2022, she designed and led the implementation of a project that she will present here today. This project has to do with contents that had been worked in relation to a service provided to Providencia, her area. All right. Thank you so much, Paula and Maria Luna, for having us to make our humble contribution, what we do at Providencia in relation to the implementation of this methodology of service learning and working for the SDGs. It is essential for me to let you know a little bit of the background of our education center and how this planet as a center for all of us, for all of the SDGs, makes sense because it has to do with the identity of our education center. Just to let you know, here you have the pictures. We have 5 educational programs. We have the Children's Club, where I coordinate, the Lyceum, the Juvenile Center, and work training. We saw the opportunity for our education center to have the possibility of working with a formal education and also with informal education. This way we can experiment and we can look for new ways of trying to think how we want to have pedagogical innovation to convey knowledge to our children. As a main purpose, we want to accompany, ensure, and protect the education path for children, teenagers, and young people since their infancy to the time they start working. We work very close to Montevideo City, the capital of Uruguay, and the population has a lot of potential, but they need from others, and they need to work with others to generate what we call mutual transformation. So that's how we work anchored in the community. We work for the community. That's essential for our education. We have been doing this since, and as I said, they start with us when they are babies, and we work with them till they start their first work or job. Our cycle, we call it SDG Planet. We started promoting in the community since 2018. We've been working with 2 essential topics. First, we have this tricycle project. That is a project that was considered before, but it starts in 2018, and it wants to promote the awareness of environmental education and thinking of environmental conscience in our society. And in 2018, we start working with projects-based methodologies. By means of different teams and different programs, we start innovating with the active methodologies. And the strong point is that it is the student, at whatever age, that are the protagonists of the learning processes. Then what happens to us is that, well, we have this project that is first infancy, and we start thinking of environmental aspects. There is an emphasis in working and in the care of what we call the common home by means of active methodologies. And what happens is that in getting to know this new methodology, for us at that time, we started with service learning. What happens with service learning to us basically is that it allows us, because it happens to you as well, we have there these different wheels that get connected, and this is a summary of the true value. That is to say, to have young children and adolescents participating as actors or players in the process, understanding the relevance of looking for solutions, thinking, trying to see how we want to connect with our home, our planet, and how we can do this in favor of the community where we are at. We need to be specific with the reality we have in this neighborhood, in this city. So what we have, a way of working with these topics by means of different projects that provide different answers. Most of the projects developed by means of the different programs in the Education Center are around environmental issues. That is to say, we have invited the students to evolve around the way they live. I have Viviana here with me. She is the teacher that carried out this project that we're going to tell you about now. And what they want is to provide an answer to specific problems they have at the Children's Club. They identify something that they go through every day. So she will tell us a bit, and then we'll have a video where you see the children and everything. Thank you. Hello, thank you. And I'm very nervous, she says. As Lou was saying, this is an environmental education project. We work about water in the neighborhood where the children lived. They detected the problems there. They went out to see what happened with the water in the area where they live. They go around, they make observe, they see the ditches, they see the sewage water, they see wastewater and contamination, they see waste around the water. So they start seeing what happens and start thinking about what to do, some actions in order to contribute with environmental care. When they go for observation, they extract samples, they go to the lab, they do some tests, they detect that the waters come from the homes and that many don't even have septic wells at home, so or the ones that they have are not in good conditions. We start working with the municipality. We start telling the municipality, so children start learning about sanitation, what happened in their own homes, what happened in the facilities where we are at, what happens with the maintenance of all of the sewage and the black waters, what are the services necessary in this regard. So they started thinking in actions around this. This took 2 years, but some of the actions done is that they go around the neighborhood asking for signatures for neighbors to request sanitation for the neighborhood, for disseminating information about the septic wells, about care of the water. They do mobilizations in the streets, informing neighbors and demanding this right, the right to access clean water. They do interviews with families in the neighborhood to hear about their problems. They prepare some leaflets with information. And perhaps we'll see the video now, and you can see them with in their own words.
Here they promote the participation of students with the project was possible to address collectively a concrete problem affecting the lives of the people every day. Itinerary. Consider the problem of lack of water, diagnosis, delimit the problem. We went to the neighborhood to research about the water condition. We gathered water samples and took them to a laboratory. We conducted surveys to get to know the opinion of the families and neighbors. During the diagnosis, we researched on the cleanup network together with the environmental department. We drafted a proposal. Created alternatives. We conducted assemblies to assess the feasibility of the project. Yesterday, we had an assembly and we expressed our problems. It was the first assembly. We talked about the water on the ditches. And we proposed solutions. And how did you propose the solutions? We raised our hands and we mentioned our problems. And how did we solve? We voted. Solidarity actions in 2021. We sent a letter to the communal center. We collected signatures. We went around the neighborhood. We are from the club, ladies and gentlemen. We are collecting signatures. We cleaned a sector. This is actions in 2022. We wrote a letter to the communal center. We created a video. This is the web page. This is our phone number. Or you can go to this municipal center from Monday to Friday. Or you can get in touch with Operación Cuneta for more information. We created and delivered brochures, and we also celebrated the whole process. We conducted a didactic outing. This is the communication of the process. We have a blog. communication of the profile. We have a process Instagram profile. Thank you. Actually, last year we conducted the second part of the project. We went to the communal center. We requested some things. It is still not complete because there are some political issues from the municipality. But anyway, they showed us the progress, and our plan is to continue. But we are not planning to repeat the process, but we want to move forward because the project is not complete, even though families became more aware, the community participated, etc. They provided information. We had this blog, the Instagram account. But there's still lots to do. So basically, this is the experience we wanted to share with you. And of course, we are going to continue working. And in this case, yes, Vivi mentioned this is a human right, so we have to keep on working and teaching children and adolescents that they are important and that they are the ones who have to raise their voices to change their realities. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a great day. Thank you. Now I will give the floor to our last speakers. Are you okay? Okay. After this, we will start with the activities. But I really liked your presentations related to SDGs. So now we're going to continue with the panel. We will have a presentation by Dr. Nyanjige Mayala. She works for the Catholic University in the Economic Department Studies. She has a degree in finances. She has a master's by the University of Dar es Salaam. She has a vast experience of over 20 years in the sector. She has worked for the Water Power Utility Africa as a director of the branch and as a coordinator in morning battles. Currently, she's a coordinator of service learning from the Catholic University in Tanzania. She has worked in finance, marketing, tourism. She has worked also on COVID-19 and industrialization in service learning and agriculture in rural areas in Tanzania. And she's accompanied by her student, Godfrey Masaho, and he will be introduced by his professor.
Thank you very much. We are very grateful to be here, to be part of this great celebration for service learning and meeting good people all around the world.
Muchísimas gracias por recibirnos aquí en esta gran celebración de lo que es aprendizaje-servicio, conociendo gente de todo el mundo.
We thank the organizers of this forum for making us and inviting us here.
Queremos agradecer a los organizadores del foro por habernos invitado a estar aquí con ustedes hoy.
We are very grateful also to the Africa Hub Coordinating Office for organizing everything and make it possible for us to be here.
También queremos agradecer en particular al Nodo de África por haber hecho todo lo necesario para que podamos estar aquí invitados por ustedes.
Our presentation is on service learning fit into implementation of SDGs in Africa, and our reflection is Tanzania.
Nuestra presentación tiene que ver con cómo se relacionan el aprendizaje-servicio con los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible en nuestro trabajo, en particular en Tanzania.
So before we give showcases from Tanzania, we will present the position of SDGs implementation in the continent.
Antes de comentarles el caso específico que trabajamos en Tanzania, queremos comentarles un poco lo que se está haciendo respecto de los ODS en lo que es el continente.
So on average, the economic growth for most countries in Africa is below 7%, which means there is less economic muscles for implementation of the SDGs.
Vemos que en nuestro caso, la posición de África, tenemos un crecimiento económico promedio que es menor a un 7% anual. Esto significa que tenemos menos músculo, digamos, para hacer fuerza en pos de los ODS.
But the other key issue is on the social inclusion struggles, which include that the continent is the second most unequal region in the world, which means there are less participation of a lot of groups within the move of the implementation.
Tenemos en nuestro continente un problema muy serio de falta de inclusión. Tenemos el caso de que es la segunda región más inequitativa en todo el mundo. Hay mucha falta de inclusión por parte de muchos grupos que quedan excluidos.
But also with regards to education, enrollment is good at the starting point, but it slows down on completion as it goes up.
Podemos comentarles que lo que es la participación o el enrolamiento de los chicos en el colegio, de entrada tenemos un muy buen nivel, o sea que muchos se inscriben en las escuelas. El problema es que van dejando las instituciones educativas con el tiempo y muchos no egresan.
Which means we are not creating a good big pool of capacitated people to implement the SDGs.
De esta manera no podemos llegar a generar la cantidad de gente que necesitamos para poder implementar correctamente los ODS.
With regards to healthcare, for example, maternal mortality is still high compared to the global average.
Vemos también que tenemos un problema importante respecto de la salud, lo que es el alto nivel de mortalidad materna, que es más alto que lo que es el promedio a nivel mundial.
When you reflect on the statistics now, you find that only 40% of the SDGs indicators have statistics.
Nosotros vemos que en relación a los ODS contamos con indicadores, o sea, con datos estadísticos de tan solo el 40% de los ODS.
And only 50% of African countries have comparable survey over the two last decades, which means we cannot benchmark between where we are now and where we are coming from in terms of the implementation of the SDGs.
Y tenemos solo que el 50% de los países africanos tienen encuestas y material estadístico comparable de las últimas 2 décadas. Esto significa que no podemos hacer benchmarking o comparación con otros países o mismo con dónde estábamos nosotros mismos tiempo atrás.
As a result, both the indicators and methodological frameworks remain incomplete.
Entonces, tenemos incompletos tanto los indicadores como los marcos metodológicos.
For example, only 22% of the African nations have what we call independent statistical offices.
Nosotros tenemos, solo el 22% de los países de África tienen lo que llamaríamos oficinas de estadísticas independientes.
Of course, in Tanzania we have what we call the Tanzania Bureau of Statistics, and Kenya have the Kenya Bureau of Statistics. South Africa they have, Ethiopia, a few to mention.
Para mencionarles algunos de los que sí contamos con nuestra propia oficina de estadísticas, Tanzania, Etiopía, Sudáfrica, pero son pocos ejemplos.
So if you look at the status now with all these statistics, you find that Africa partly is on track on gender equality, climate, and life on land.
Si consideramos las estadísticas, entonces África está en parte encaminada respecto de los temas de equidad de género, clima y la vida en la tierra.
I know that you have the leaflet of the SDGs. No data in Africa is found for SDG 10, 11, and 12.
Plantamos estos árboles en particular porque habíamos visto que había una alta mortalidad en esa zona y que es muy importante implementar árboles que después tengan alimentos, pero que sean árboles que se den bien en la zona.
So after realizing that, we come up with a solution on how we can monitor this tree we plant in various areas, especially the project we implement in our university.
Conseguimos entonces un sistema de monitoreo para justamente hacer el monitoreo de todos los árboles que se plantaban y ver su progreso en todas las áreas donde los habíamos plantado.
Yes, we come up with an idea of making a mobile app which have different process or which have different mechanisms which help to monitor trees, monitor different environmental parameters.
Preparamos una app con distintos parámetros que tienen que ver con el crecimiento de los árboles.
This mobile app is able to monitor different parameters, includes the location where we planted trees, altitude or height level, but also the place where we planted tree, condition of the tree, and species, which kind of tree we planted in a specific area.
Hay distintos parámetros, entonces, con lo que contamos. Estas son aplicaciones móviles, ¿no es cierto? Las tenemos en nuestros celulares. Entonces, podemos de esta manera tener, a través de un GPS, la geolocalización de dónde está exactamente plantado cada ejemplar y en qué condiciones estaba en el momento que se fue a hacer un relevamiento.
Yes, through this mobile app, it helped us to know the condition or the status or the growth rate of the tree we planted in various projects.
De esta manera podemos tener un seguimiento de saber la condición, el estado y hacer de cada planta y hacer un monitoreo de todo lo que hemos plantado.
Yes, through this it helped us when we divide a different species of plant in various schools and community, so it improves us or it gives us an opportunity to monitor different trees we planted in different areas, that kind of tree, it is survive or it not survive. So this kind of application, it enables us to know this kind of plant is survive.
Nosotros de esta manera, con este seguimiento, vamos aprendiendo. Entonces, de esta manera sabemos qué tipo de especies dentro de lo que queremos plantar funciona en esta área o en esta otra zona, en esta localidad, en esta otra no, se vinieron abajo, entonces tenemos que replantar eso otro que teníamos en otro lugar. Es para hacer un seguimiento.
Yes, our plan, this kind of mobile app, we plan to operate in the Uru country, but now it operates only in Kilimanjaro region.
Es una aplicación que queremos que se extienda, por supuesto, pero de momento está operando, funcionando únicamente en lo que es nuestra región, que es la región del Kilimanjaro.
Yes, furthermore, after implementing, after preparing that mobile application, and now later on we have a plan of making different projects like carbon credits and integrating our projects into remote sensing and GIS.
Nosotros ya tenemos esta parte del monitoreo a través de la aplicación y queremos llevarlo más adelante. Queremos llegar a obtener créditos de carbono a través de lo que monitoreamos con la aplicación. Carbon credit, what else?
Carbon credits, I mean, to determine such kind of plant, the ability of such kind of plant in carbon sinking or absorbing carbon around the atmosphere.
podemos realizar el monitoreo para saber exactamente cuál es la cantidad de carbono que está capturando cada planta para poder sí sumarlo, contabilizarlo y pedir estos créditos.
We assure that if we implement this, we'll be able, or it help us to monitor different kind of plant or kind of trees we plant in different areas to know the condition of the status and their growth rate.
De esta manera, y como dijimos, podemos monitorear la condición, el estado de cada una de las plantas y vamos a ver con cuál nos está yendo mejor para lo que son los créditos de carbono.
So, I inspire you are my fellow who are looking me in front here, to adapt this process of monitoring different projects, or monitoring plant you are planted in different projects that you are still doing.
Yo quisiera poder inspirarlos a todos los que están acá viéndome, escuchándome, a que implementen algún tipo de proyecto de este tipo, donde a través de una app móvil pueden monitorear el crecimiento de las plantas y bien el cuidado que puedan necesitar.
I have something to share with you that let's together make a planet as a good place for everyone, because there is no other kind of planet which supports life like our Earth.
Quiero decirles que por favor juntos cuidemos el planeta y hagamos el planeta que necesitamos, porque no hay otro planeta donde vivir.
I love my environment, I love my planet forever.
Amo mi medio ambiente, amo mi planeta para siempre.
While we are about to conclude our presentation, we think also that awareness, charity begins at home.
Nosotros ahora vamos a concluir nuestra presentación, pero queríamos comentarles como último punto que entendemos que la concientización tiene que empezar desde casa.
So we normally expose our students to important celebrations. Like this day, our student participated in the World Environment Day 2023.
Y es muy importante tener una celebración de nuestros logros. Nosotros en este caso implementamos el Día del Medio Ambiente Mundial de 2023 y así lo celebramos.
So they did a campaign and collected plastic wastes across the university and the streets, the communities that are close by the universities, as this year's theme was on plastic, microplastics.
Este año en particular trabajamos sobre los plásticos y dentro de los plásticos los microplásticos, y entonces se hizo ese día toda una campaña de limpieza y recolección de plásticos que había, no solo en la universidad, en los alrededores de la universidad, sino también en todas estas zonas plantadas.
So the take-home message from our presentation is that Africa is way off track. Yes, we agree. And that the current efforts are necessary but not sufficient.
El mensaje que queremos que se lleven respecto de nosotros, de África, es que en relación a las acciones, sí, es verdad que África todavía está encaminada un poco desde lejos, pero que los esfuerzos actuales son necesarios, pero que no son del todo suficientes.
This is because weaknesses across the entire SDGs ecosystem for the continent is still weak.
Y sabemos que hay debilidad respecto de todo lo que es el ecosistema de los ODS en nuestro continente todo.
So there is a need to run while others are walking.
Entonces tenemos la necesidad de empezar a correr donde otros andan caminando.
Urgent action is required to compensate the lost time.
Es muy importante ir hacia la acción para compensar el tiempo perdido.
We know that when we are Africa and when we synergize with the rest of the world, some of the important SDG targets can be reached.
Sabemos que cuando el resto del mundo nos acompaña a África, el resto de los ODS se van a poder alcanzar.
This is because we aspire to leave no one behind.
Y nuestra aspiración es no dejar absolutamente a nadie atrás.
Asante sana.
Muchísimas gracias.